Hey everybody, one of Wiisdom here, 2:53 a.m. It is time for the state of YouTube. This might be one long video, I might split it into two parts. I'm not quitting YouTube, I'm taking some time to explain some things to you. So, the state of YouTube, from where I stand. YouTube is a great site, it's free video hosting and sharing. Users have built it up into a competitive media market capable of going toe-to-toe with old staples and modern blockbusters. As you should know, at these slide videos, I try to cover them as best I can. Some viewers prefer YouTube over conventional mediums. Viewers have a sense of connection with a YouTuber more so than a conventional celebrity, journalist, or media-based personality. Sometimes I'll read fast, sometimes I'll read slow. The popularity of YouTube and the increased media consumption greatly troubles the conventional media outlets. When an entire generation finds entertainment away from the conventional norms, they panic. Big money will be spent to combat this. Pressure, politics, and every trick in the book will be used to maintain a lockdown on the status quo. This is their livelihood. It's what they understand. They don't want change. Any means necessary can and will be utilized to keep the focus and cash flow where the establishment wants it. No, I'm not crazy. All of this is factual. It's also my opinion. And if you research it, I think you'll come to terms and agree with me. As usual, those in power in these scenarios write off, underestimate, and essentially laugh off any projected threats. And of course, instead of embracing the change and taking advantage of the new technologies and mediums, which they could also heavily invest in if they weren't so close-minded, they are scorned, derided, and brushed aside. The classic makings of an underdog, no? These same patterns of events can be seen over and over again. Ignorance is bliss, but reality always finds a way of catching up. Like I said, I went with 15 seconds, so bear with me. Let's look at some examples. These might seem out of place, but just bear with me. Newspapers. When I was a kid, we got a newspaper every morning. In fact, my small market had two newspapers, one that delivered in the morning, one that delivered in the afternoon. Two standalone entities. As the internet, quotes there, became more prevalent, the papers were right there at the front, brushing it off as a fad. Instead of embracing it and trying the new medium, they all blew it off. No one's going to get their news online, hearsay. We no longer have two papers where I'm from. The current one is barely hanging on. I'm surprised it's not gone completely yet. It's in part due to the elderly, I will say. And their website is ridiculous, and they want money. MySpace, this is another example. This was during my college years. Many of you ask how old I am. This should tell you. It was great. I met so many people, including some great friends locally and abroad, through a sharing of common interests. Very few people outside of college campuses knew anything of it. It continued to gain in popularity and began generating a lot of revenue due to daily traffic. This financial aspect drew the attention of investors in the corporate world. At one point in time, it was the most frequented website. It was second in video consumption only to YouTube, by the way. Shortly after selling, the site started getting negative attention. No one is really aware of this, but all of this stems from politics. This isn't designed to lose any of you. This is factual information. Date it yourself. So, MySpace was purchased by Rupert Murdoch and News Corp. He's the Fox News guy, is probably what you know him as. Shortly thereafter, attack ads about the safety of your daughter became prevalent on competing networks. In classic fashion, the establishment once again succeeded in painting the picture they wanted associated with the site. Now, in fairness, say someone CBS-wise or CNN bought it, Ted Turner, Murdoch probably would have been attacking it. People, including the out-of-touch journalists, so out of touch, who had never even heard of MySpace or used it, manipulated the masses into assuming their stories were the only narrative of the site. Almost simultaneously through their campaign to take down the site, they began having pages and encouraging interaction on Facebook. Once again, build a time machine and follow this history. It will be verbatim to my story here. Facebook was the horrible cousin of MySpace that offered no personalization and lacked all of the great features. Many people are oblivious to this, but Facebook started only allowing .edu email addresses. So if you're not a college or high school kid, you're screwed. Towards the end of the campaign, when the mere mention of MySpace had suburban parents ready to neutralize the online scum threatening their kids, Facebook just kind of casually opened up to everyone. Anyone remember that happening? Not just college people anymore. Facebook is now essentially the internet for millions of Americans, primarily older, who are computer literate but oblivious to the site's limitations. Email is through Facebook. News is through Facebook. They don't use other websites. The site went from very limited ads, and then, of course, there was a big fallout with Google, which they established their own penny ads, but they milk revenue from the user mate through promoted posts and things like that. The site is a joke. Just create a page and tell me what you see. These paid promotions and boosts and penny ads are used and accepted by the user base, which again is basically the elder tier of computer literates. The establishment took what was a great startup and completely manipulated the psyche of the average American into thinking something quite contrary to reality. There are never any stories about people meeting up and, dating and marrying or best friends or nothing positive. The most egregious aspect being that Facebook opens up users, and of course their children, to the exact same drummed-up threats they warned against on MySpace. Hypocrisy, anyone? I mean, this is just really ridiculous. Keep in mind, most of these quote-unquote shopping abduction attempts were conducted by undercover officers soliciting such interaction, and of course I would not be surprised if many were on the payroll of the powers that be. So what is the merit of all this? Newspapers, MySpace? You thought this was supposed to be about YouTube, right? Well, just think a little bit, and you will see where we're headed with this one. So, it is absolutely about YouTube, just as digital mediums put traditional print papers on the brink, adapt and survive, or ignore and disappear. YouTube is challenging TV empires, and that makes them a target. People my age might rather spend the evening watching someone stream a video game, catch up on a popular web series, as opposed to watching ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, or any of their billions of subsidiary channels, right? This means ratings go down for these old guard news agencies. Their hit news show doesn't generate as much traffic as a cumulative group of creators on YouTube. Again, this has to do with diversity. They have an hour, YouTube has tons of hours. With the smaller audience, you're forced to either drop prices to advertise, or you simply lose the advertisers to more lucrative mediums where they can reach more end users. There's no fault in someone paying to advertise for going after the biggest audience. That's what you want to do. So how does MySpace come into play? Well, take the underlying lesson to heart. When facing competition, the old guard will use any means necessary to combat it. Why do you think the narrative on YouTube has been so bad? This isn't me doing it. It's not Google doing it. As much as you might think it is. It's not the staff of YouTube doing this. Those people want their high-paying job in the cool office, believe me. Rather than adapt and embrace YouTube, it is easier for these entities to fight it. When advertisers invest more on YouTube than they do the conventional TV format of yesteryear, they have to get desperate for change. These people are on the brink. Rather than look at YouTube for what it is, a free video sharing site with a diverse group of people uploading videos showcasing their personal interests, they seek out and find the bad. Then just like MySpace, they repeatedly drive it home. Just as the news shows were manipulating your view of MySpace a decade ago, they're now trying to pass YouTube off as a similar evil. They find something, they push it, they drill it, they won't let up until it's what you think of. With that tactic in play, they also resort to high-pressure tactics against the advertisers. If the general public or you and I can write off just a small handful of offensive videos on a platform this large with billions of videos, extra effort must be exerted. The companies advertising on the more lucrative platform YouTube provides are then brought into the news as corroborating with the evil, and of course everyone's favorite term, racist, or anything derogatory that fits the narrative they want to paint. This is, of course, high pressure and bad press and forces them to play their card, which will most undoubtedly be the PR correct card. This is just to be a given. It's accepted. It's used. That predictable, politically correct move is, of course, to come out with a statement and say, well, we don't support that, so until the platform is cleaned up, we have to leave. They know that card is coming, and they manipulate it. And that, of course, means that X dollars in the advertising budget for YouTube are now dispensed back to the more inefficient but conventional marketplace. CBS, ABC, NBC, corporations, they get off your back. Not a big deal. However, having now realized the threat YouTube poses to their established means of transcendence, that's sarcastic by the way, more has to be done. Look how effective they were in getting their cash flow back. They get a little bit and they want more. They're not content with maintaining, they have to exceed. So the same group of peons spend their 8-hour cubicle life looking for more offensive content, possibly even creating it themselves. Those poor souls having to filter through family vacation footage, people playing video games, and animals doing funny things. As new discoveries are unearthed or created, they will bring it to full frontal attention and further highlight the line between their quote-unquote clean and safe ad space and the filthy and vile ad space next door. With even more success, the powers that be decide to go for the jugular, taking on YouTube directly. This, of course, prompts a default and expected PR card where they're working to clean things up. That's the current state we have been in since April, roughly. All the while, hypocrisy, and I drink water. A few typos here. I did this at like 1 in the morning. Now it's 3:05 when I narrate it. My apologies. Might correct and might not. YouTube has to make things fantastically G-rated. No cussing, no swearing, no joking, no fun, no controversial issues, no suggestive content, except of course with what the networks upload in their music videos. Creators are hit with loss of ad revenue and flagged videos for no apparent reason. Meanwhile, the most noble and pure of TV stations, you have primetime shows that feature cussing, drinking, drug usage, controversial issues, suggestive themes, and virtually everything else, for some reason, taboo on YouTube. Would you rather have your 5-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter watch Mario Kart videos, tips and tricks per se, on YouTube, and dogs running in their sleep, or crime shows and a woman soliciting herself to a cast of 20 men? Riddle me that. There comes a point that you, the individual, must think for yourself. Is it fair to hold YouTube to a different standard than your basic channels everyone has with or without cable or satellite? One of the most tasteless pieces of journalism I have ever seen was Jenna Marbles being derided by a TV quote-unquote news anchor. You probably know who Jenna Marbles is. If not, look her up. Instead of providing insightful information on Jenna to viewers, the interview went out of the way to paint the desired viewpoint of who are you, why are you famous, and why would you be famous for doing that? Said in a catty manner, of course. That is, of course, making videos on YouTube that entertain millions of people. This was a very early example of the mainstream established media trying to take down a popular YouTuber for not being a conventional celebrity. Admittedly, I don't watch many movies, and for good reason, but I can say that Jenna Marbles is gorgeous, and I don't know of any quote-unquote conventional celebrity that would challenge her on that front, at least in my mind. That's subjective to everyone. Similarly, this chick is hilarious, and again, I can't quite place my name on any A-list conventional Hollywood starlet who I'd rather watch. Again, I'm not the most knowledgeable on Hollywood crud, but I don't know of a pretty chick that's funny like she is out in the world that's not YouTube based. And of course, no effort is made to acknowledge the fact she's a college graduate with a knack for comedy who serves as a more down-to-earth example of success than their beloved and conventional Hollywood starlets. YouTube built itself up on the back of everyday uploaders, many of which had the awesome opportunity to turn their passions into careers. Think of people that played Minecraft in 2010. Tons of those people haven't had a job other than playing Minecraft for 7 years. How is that different than the conventional format? Is it too much to imagine someone not being born into the industry making a mark? Do we no longer value underdogs and hard-earned successes? If a professor tells students to turn in a poem, do only the handwritten ones count? Does the typed one not? You can't penalize people for taking advantage of new mediums. The poetry is the same regardless of whether it's calligraphy or Comic Sans font. YouTube is a serious contender to the established quo, and some of the most beloved entertainers are not born out of the primetime TV slots, or Hollywood basements, if you will. Many advertisers simply recognize their target audience, say 35 and under, or best bang for the buck, is in fact through YouTube, and not on the main establishment's network of channels. Simple facts. Cookie Crisp is way more likely to see a return on investment marketing to kids. A company selling mascara probably prefers a Lifetime type show over a 10 p.m. basketball game. You have to market your product strategically. You survive or you die. You have to survive by adapting. It's not going to be the same. You've got to make changes. Those best suited to surviving are, as you might expect, those best suited to adapting, or willing to adapt in some cases. The established media has been losing ad revenue to YouTube for some time, and this is their attempt to circumvent it. Just like with MySpace, they focus on a few negatives and attempt to make them the only known talking points. They don't want positivity, they want negativity. You can combat this by supporting and continuing to ingest media on your preferred platform. If you're all about YouTube, make a point to use it. If this is resonating, take it to heart. If you hate YouTube, stick to the local and cable channels and you're probably not watching this anyway. Most folks will view a combination of the two, let's be honest here. But be ever mindful of how your views can impact the other platform. I have and continue to believe in YouTube. There's not another site like it, at least not one with anywhere near this user base. Others are popping up, but it's going to be very difficult to amass this audience. If YouTube can be successfully dethroned, just like MySpace, it'll slowly fade away. The establishment will once again pull all of the strings. This is a place you don't want to be. There was a time YouTube didn't exist. Many of you don't remember it or weren't born with it. They may even have a video sharing site set up to capture some of the fallout, but I ask you, how will that site look in 3 to 5 years? Can anyone like me who came of age with MySpace honestly say Facebook is better? Imagine, in addition to having pre-roll ads, having to pay to use such a site in the future. Sounds off now, but that is the beauty of YouTube. While you may be served ads, you and I are both here for free. Do you really think ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and all of the others are going to host a free video hosting site? I sure don't, and even if they do, it's going to be short-lived and designed only to build a user base to capture a market segment and eventually extort payment. YouTube offers up unique content from everyday regular people. Kid wants to get through a game, lady wants makeup tutorials, dude wants to rebuild a transmission. It's ready instantaneously on YouTube, not TV. Video takes what was once mere text with pictures and turns it into the most simplistic medium, seeing. This works across all aspects of life. That is the purest and simplest way to teach people, to show someone. YouTube has built this audience because the content can't be found elsewhere. Newspapers, TV stations, and movie stars can't provide the same level and scope of entertainment and information. Platform has and should continue to provide the means for everyday people to connect through similar interests. I think I'm going to end here. Part 2 is going to be how all of this resonates with me. This would basically be a 40-plus minute video, or it could be 2 20s. I think you're more inclined to appreciate it as 2 20-minute segments. But I'm doing this for a reason. I've got to build up. I've got to get to a point where if people ask, hey, why did you do this? What are you doing? What are your thoughts on this? I have it. I can simply reference one standalone video, or in this case 2 to 3. I'll do one on streaming too. But this is important, and this is something that no one really mentions. They just blame YouTube or blame this or blame that. There's no information, no facts are provided, no timeline. I'm setting the stage for what I'm going to talk about in the next video, which will be the state of my channel, in large part due to the state of YouTube, which has decayed because of the events I just mentioned. That said, I will leave it at that for now. As always, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you agree with me, disagree with me? Like I said, YouTube offers up a unique platform where individual, everyday people can upload things, whether you're into cars, outfits of the day, makeup, making Play-Doh, crafting, scrapbooking, how to turn pallets into headboards. You can get that instantaneously on YouTube, step by step, through a video tutorial, which is superior to an article. And you cannot get that on any one of the mainstream networks. It's not offered there. They have no mediums to support that. That's what makes YouTube unique. The users and the viewers are what makes it great. And it's in trying times right now because of the powers that be. So I will leave it at that. We will be back with part 2 of this video, and I hope you will check that one